Hello there. Today's video enlightens some mindfulness techniques that have been helpful for me in my strength training over the years. In a little bit, these represent a few things that I wish I had known or been mindful of more consciously then. In some ways, they represent sort of intuitive, visceral things that I did anyway. But had I been more mindful of them, I could have maybe accomplished better results more quickly. And then in some ways, I'm sharing a few of the things that I've garnered in my experience reading and learning from others. And this is really relative to the physique, the physical body, the skeletal muscles, kind of the aspects of the body that result in an outward appearance. Some of the principles that I am going to suggest for us to consider may also relate to other parts of the body, which we can discuss in more detail in future videos. But this is about the body that we see and what we look like. And getting them organized in a video, I'm reminding myself of these techniques, but then I'm also hoping that it'll help some of you in your journey as well. So I don't know where we all fall on our journey with regards to our physique. There are certainly people that focus on their fitness and physique journey with more intensity than I do. And there are certainly people who focus on their journey with less intensity. But I think these ideas are good in terms of mindfulness for anyone who wants to be more aware of what's going on with their body. Okay, so tip number 1. I think it's helpful to become consciously aware and focused upon the specifics of the way you want your body to be and to look. And just do that mindfully. So some people may say, oh, I just want to be in good shape, or I want to get my six-pack. In my experience, the more specific you are, the better. So do you want to be like really svelte and lean and have a low body fat percentage, or do you want to be really robust and strong, or do you want to be great, big, and fat, a happy in between somewhere? Like, just be honest with yourself and get as specific as you can with that idea, because it gives you something to have in your imagination as you're doing this work. Also, be honest about why you want the thing that you think you want. So in my case, toward the beginning of my fitness journey, there was an aspect of the work that I was doing that involved a desire to meet some social ideal or to get validation from others. So I kind of looked around at physiques that got a lot of attention socially and, in Hollywood. And actually, maybe here's where I'll flash up the images that I'm using as the sort of cover for this video. And what I did was, when I was making these decisions about what I wanted, I went and found images of these, at the time, what I considered to be ideal physiques, or physiques in Hollywood that were getting a lot of attention, and I literally printed them out and put them in my journal next to the current photograph of myself, so that I could visually see the difference between where I was and what I wanted. And then each time as I was moving forward, each time I saw a visual improvement, I would update my photo. And then after a while, the journal just kind of got put aside. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. So, tip number 1, to recap: figure out what you want and be as specific as you can, and figure out why you want it. And it's not that you're not going to allow that to be malleable and evolve over time, but starting out, to give you something to focus on and be imaginative about, have a specific idea. So tip number 2, orient your spirit and move forward as though you expect that body to be real. Go back to when you were a little kid and remember what it's like to imagine things, and just put all of your energy into your imagination and use your emotional faculties with this. It would be really good if you could get to a place where you could inhabit the feeling of the body as though it were already done. So you have an image in your mind. Pull your focus a little bit away from what you are sensing with your eyes, what you see in the mirror. Pull your focus a little bit away from that and focus on this ideal that you're going to accomplish as though it's already done. Your mind is very powerful, and it communicates with the cells of your body and the universe around you. So make sure it's sending positive messages. The cells of your body are eager to accommodate your requests, and they will feel good when you feel good. This can be thought of like spiritual nourishment of the cells. They all trillions of cells in your body are all conscious. They are consciousness, and they are listening to you. They are looking forward to your direction. So spiritual nourishment, and that leads me into tip number 3, physical nourishment. Be mindful of what you're eating and why. And I'm just going to be really broad about this in this video. There's lots of information out there, lots of different diets to try. And if you're the kind of person who likes to get into the specifics, or maybe over time you'll get into specifics of macros and micros and carbs and protein and amino acids and supplements and all of those things. But generally speaking, step 1 is simply to become more mindful of what you're eating and why. Remind yourself that you eat to provide energy and nutrients for the nourishment of your physical body and your mind. So that's why you need to do that. Nourish the body that the work that your body needs to do, and nourish your mind. This is a big deal. I've had the experience of, you may or may not be aware, but there is a fluid that nourishes your nervous system. It circulates through your body to the nervous system centers in your torso, heart, and belly, and then around to your brain. And it's based in amino acids and fatty acids and all these nutrients that are specific for the functions of the nervous system. And I have had the experience of that being malnourished and not having enough oxygen in it, and it's not good. You need to make that a priority in your experience to give that nervous system fluid nourishment. So there's an emotional layer to this as well. It feels good when you're nourished. Be mindful that there are other ways to nourish your emotional body other than food. It feels good to eat. You get a release of energy and endorphins and chemicals and stuff in your brain. I totally get that. And sometimes it's just going to happen. You're going to eat to feel good. But just be mindful that there are other ways to satiate your emotional body. And as you nourish your emotional body more and become more mindful of what you're eating and why, you'll maybe develop the sense of not needing food so much to feel good. This is big, and I've learned this by studying some other spiritual teachers. As important, or perhaps more important than anything that you consume, is your attitude about it. Our minds develop prejudices and biases for and against certain things, but that's in our mind. The physical body is less biased. So, for instance, if you're it's a weekend and you're out with friends and you're splurging and drinking lots of wine and margaritas and there's all this sugar, and in the moment of doing that, you may find yourself criticizing the decision to consume those things. But the cells of your body can hear your criticism. If you gave the cells of your body a different message, it would make it easier for them to take in the nourishment that you're offering. And so you can even think about those cheat meals and those bottles of wine as nourishment. I mean, that is a form of nourishment. And in some cases, there's a lot of spiritual nourishment that you get from that's got a lot of value. So just keep in mind that you're finding a balance with those things, and keep a positive attitude about those splurges and binges when they happen. It's nourishment. If you go for a few days eating way too much and not leaving the house or getting off the sofa, that's okay. You rested up, your physical body got rest, you nourished yourself, then the next day you can get up and go back to your exercise regimen. So take care of your attitude about things. As much as possible, criticize nothing. The cells of your body can hear you. Over time, you'll find yourself more intuitively aware of the foods that nourish you better than others, and you'll just naturally kind of gravitate toward good foods. Again, if you want to take a more active role in the management of your nourishment, you can do that. There's information everywhere. Or you can get a trainer or a nutritionist. I mean, there's ways to accomplish getting really specific and disciplined with that. But generally speaking, just be mindful that you're nourishing your body and have a good attitude about it. Tip number 4 is relative to the physical movement. So your body is a magnificent machine, and it has this capacity and this desire to move and do things. As we're coming into, in our society here in North America and the United States, we're coming into a culture where a lot of us depend upon our minds to accomplish work and make money to sustain our lives. So we're less and less dependent on our physical faculties. Not as many of us are going out into the wilderness to hunt down food, or actually picking up a hammer to build a house for our family to live in. But your body is made for that kind of stuff. And it needs it, it wants it, it celebrates it. And so most of us will find ourselves benefiting from some kind of physical movement. My suggestion is to find something that you enjoy doing. In my case, I've always loved strength training and lifting weights in the gym. It's not that starting up after a period of not having done it is easy. You have to kind of get back into it and get your cells and your body to wake up again to it. But once you get into the rhythm, it becomes fun. And I think a pitfall that a lot of people face with the fitness regime or regimen, I don't know, is that they're not doing something that they enjoy. I love to take long walks in nature. I don't like to run, so I don't do as much of that. Each time I try to say I'm going to run or do more cardio, I do it for a while. Usually it's relative to a specific result that I'm wanting to see, like, I want to trim down or whatever. I do it long enough to accomplish whatever that thing is, and then I'll let it go. But there's a constant, which is the strength training, that I've always enjoyed, and it's something you'll be more likely to do if you enjoy it. You can start anywhere. If you're really out of shape and you start by, let's say you start by just walking each day. Maybe the first day you make it to the end of the sidewalk to get the mail and you walk back to the house. I don't know. The next day you walk halfway down the block, turn around and walk back. Then the next day you walk a little bit further down the block and walk back. Don't criticize what you're not able to do. Instead, encourage yourself and be gracious about what you are able to accomplish. And your body, your physical body, responds to those stresses that you put on it, and you're going to see changes and growth. Tip number 5 is about mindfulness and being focused and present in the moment. I'm just looking at my camera. Present and focused in the moment, which obviously I am not right now. So one breakthrough that I've had is about, with my strength training in the gym and lifting weights, is about mind-muscle connection. So for instance, let's say I'm curling, and so my focus is on this bicep muscle. As much as possible, I'm funneling and focusing my mental and emotional energy into the act of doing that movement and into that muscle. through my physical body, mind-muscle connection, and encouraging and celebrating the growth and the stress that I'm putting on that. It makes a world of difference. If you're just going in and your mind's somewhere else, maybe you're looking at someone in the mirror, or you're just on your podcast or focused on the music you're listening to, and you're not being present with the movement, it's not as effective. Don't just go in and fling some stuff around and expect to see positive results. Stay present and focused. And same thing, like if you're running, you're primarily putting the muscular stress on your legs. So focus on those muscles. Send them positive vibes. You're getting your heart rate up. Obviously, you're going to be breathing more. So give your focus and attention to those things as well. If you're in nature, do the same thing. Obviously, there are other advantages to walking in nature. You can do some grounding and earthing and connect with the energy of the earth. So that's another aspect of it. And that's, of course, going to benefit your physique. So one note that I wanted to make about exercise and nourishment and everything is, I've kind of, as I've observed human behavior and learned more about human behavior, I've come to understand that we criticize the idea of addiction. I'm going to say, in my personal experience, everyone finds ways of feeling better. I'm going to abstract this beyond the label of the word addiction and say everyone finds ways in their daily lives to feel better. I think that's a motivation of our life experience. Most of the things that we do because, or try to get or have, we do because we will make it feel better. We believe it will make us feel better. So you can be addicted to food. You can be addicted to substances to make you feel better. You can also become addicted to exercise to feel better. You can become addicted to sex to make you feel better. Sex is great exercise, by the way, but I hope you've noticed, and I hope you can make the connection, it takes a lot of nourishment. I mean, you have to make sure that you're taking all your vitamins and eating well if you're going to have lots of sex. And so my suggestion is that each individual person can find and strike a balance of things that works well for them, and it can be sustainable for them. You don't have to go overboard in one direction or the other. I don't think I would criticize myself too much if that ever happened or happens. But if you have a problem being addicted to food or overeating or substances, just consider the idea that if you give a little bit of time, focus, and attention on physical exercise and nourishing your body, you can kind of allow that addiction to replace the other. And that'll feel good too. Exercise releases good endorphins and chemicals and hormones too. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you are in the fitness industry, or you have other ideas that you think would be helpful for people to be mindful about through their physical workout and practice, I would love it if you would share those. If you have questions about the specific things that I've suggested or would like more detail about them, I would be glad to share if you'll ask those questions. So going back, this is how I wanted to conclude today's video. So going back to my journal, which I really don't know where the journal is at this point. I was going to actually take a photograph and show you. So I just replicated it with that image slide. But I put the journal aside as I was off on other adventures for several years. And then one day I stumbled upon it and I realized that my body I had accomplished the goal. I looked, at least to me, I looked as good or better than the Hollywood celebrities that I aspired to in the journal. So it kind of happened. You know, you put these things out there, you get a focused place in your mind, and then just allow it to occur. I think be easy about it and have fun. Okay, I think that's it for today. I look forward to hopefully having some comments.